Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and healthy as we move into another area of our talks this week. We're going to be talking about when motivation would fade away, when motivation fades, which it will do at times, and how do we handle that? What can we do about that? What does that look like? And how do we stop the motivation from slipping in our lives? If you are new here and new to this channel, I want to welcome you and say thank you for joining. If you've been here walking this road with me now for a while, again, welcome. Hope you're okay. Today I want to talk about something really real and really relevant in our recovery from our addiction. It's not about big breakthroughs. It's not about the powerful moments, although I'm sure there will be some. And it's not about the clarity, but it is about when our motivation to do the right thing in our recovery seems to just fade off and seems to just not quite feel right at times. We're human. We will get things a little bit wrong. We're not perfect by any means, are we? Because motivation at times will fade away. There will be days when you feel really strong and really at it and really eager and really on top of the world and really ready to tackle everything that comes our way. You'll be clear, you'll be focused, super laser focused, you'll be really disciplined, which is what we're trying to do, and put that discipline into our lives, which has been lacking for far too long. And then there'll be days when we feel absent and a little bit away, a little bit off key. There'll be days when we wake up and we feel flat. We just feel we're not feeling it today. We will feel tired and lethargic maybe, and just a bit off colour. We may feel a bit irritable and a bit sort of uninspired for the day ahead. And here's the danger when this happens. Here's the danger. When our motivation will start to fade a little bit, we will start to do things like question everything. We will start to doubt ourselves. We will start to question things like saying, was I ever really serious about recovery? And put seeds of doubt in our minds. Have I changed at all? Have I actually made any changes? Any lasting, notable, credible changes? Maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just not cut out for it. But I want you to listen carefully to this. Motivation is a feeling, but recovery is a decision. Motivation is a feeling, but recovery is an absolute decision. We have crossed the line in recovery. We have drawn the line not to go back to our addiction. Recovery is the way out. Recovery is the escape route. Recovery is that channel out of the very thing that's been holding us sort of prisoner for so long. And feelings will come and feelings will go because they fluctuate, don't they? They rise and they fall. But decisions, strong decisions, will stay the course. And the people who stay free are not the people who feel motivated every day, but they are the people who stay consistent when they just don't feel like it, when they can push through and they can press in and press on. When the easiest thing in the world would be to turn over again and pull the sheets over our face and pull the duvet over our head and just say, I'm not doing it, and go back to bed. I can't face it. When motivation fades, that is where character, real, honest, true character is actually being built. If we can become these things and be these people that I'm saying, that we're not to be fueled by how we feel and base everything on our feelings, because feelings are temporary. One day I can be in a good mood, tomorrow I can be in a bad mood. Something I feed my mind with can really make me feel really happy. And then if I start thinking negative thoughts, I'm going to be really upset and down. and like the world's against me. It's what we feed our minds with, is how our emotions are triggered. It's powerful to stay clean when you are bored. It is powerful to stay clean when we're bored. It's easy to speak about integrity when we're all fired up, isn't it? When we're all on top of the world, you know, and when we're practicing these things positively, that it's really kind of, that's the easy moments where integrity can really be kind of for us. It can be really tangible and really real and really meaningful. It's easy to speak about integrity when we're fired up, but it's growth when you live it quietly on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday. That's when growth is, when it's put to the test, when it's not just a notion, but it's actually an action on a day in the week when we're just pressing on, pressing through, soldiering through it, keeping our integrity at moments when it would be the easiest thing to let things slip. But we decided to be intentional and put these boundaries and put these things in our lives which are worthy of our recovery. And here's something I've learned. Early recovery is fueled by emotion. But later recovery is fueled by that word I've referred to now in the last 2 or 3 videos called structure. Structure and routine in our lives. In the early parts of our recovery, you know, it was fueled by, you know, we were riding the crest of the wave, weren't we? We were so keen and eager and excited and determined to push through and to to turn the other way from our addiction. You know, that had done so much damage and harm to us, for us, for so long, and we were so ready to just bin it all off and say, no more of this, no more of this. From today, things are different, and we were intentional and we were courageous, and that was fueled by how we felt about it. Our emotions were driving that forwards. But the recovery that lasts later will very much be fueled by the structure we've put into our life, the discipline, the boundaries, the integrity that's coming back into our world, and that is how we remain. We stop relying on all the hype and we start relying on new habits that we formed. You know, somebody told me it takes 8 weeks to form a habit. Is that right? I think. And it's true. You know, I'll give you a really simple example. I've been trying to really steer off sugar in tea and coffee, particularly in coffee. I've always had 2 sugars in coffee for years and years and years. And it's a hard thing not to have coffee with sugar, I think. It's a taste I've got to learn to like because it's bitter. So I've kind of went to 1 sugar and then a little bit of sugar, and I've now gone to no sugar. But I formed that habit now, and actually I can appreciate the taste of coffee in that form without it being sweetened. And I think now if I had sugar back in coffee as a one-off, it'd probably be too sweet because my taste buds have become accustomed to coffee with no sugar. And it's a little bit like that in our life. Whatever habits we choose to feed into our world, into our life, into our everyday, I think it's 8-week mark. Beyond that, we can break the habit and form new habits. So we are relying on habits now, good habits, not bad habits. You build routines that protect you when your emotions don't. We have hopefully built routines and structure into our lives that are really protective for us. They're creating such a strong such strength into our lives that we didn't have before. That we can really rely on the good things we've put into our world now that have been so key, so helpful, so useful, so strong, so relevant, so freeing, and you know, those are the things that protect us. Our emotions won't. When we're happy and sad and all, and kind of good days, bad days, if we're reliant upon our emotions, we will not make it. They shift and change. Your emotions Our emotions are totally unreliable. We cannot rely on them. Discipline is quieter, measured, stronger structure that we're putting into our world and our lives now. It's less dramatic. It may be less exciting, but it's way, way more stable. And this is really important. If you are in a flat season right now, and if your motivation is fading off a little bit and you don't feel the best right now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're failing and you've screwed it up again. It might mean that underneath it you are maturing. You know, sometimes we can take steps forwards and steps back. It doesn't mean we've messed up again if you take steps back. It doesn't mean we've completely screwed it all up and we've completely blown it again. You know, we've got to understand that sometimes we may, you know, make great strides forward in areas of our lives, and if we're going to punish ourselves when we just make a mistake, we've kind of lost the vision, and we've lost the focus. We've got to learn to also forgive ourselves. I'm talking about now, if we slipped back into our addiction and thought, sod it, permanently, and we just forget recovery. I've done with it. I've tried it. It didn't work. I'm going back to what I was doing again. I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about if we made a mistake and we just slipped. You know, don't punish yourself for that. Don't punish yourself for that. We are human. We can fail and fall at times. It's what we do next, isn't it, that matters. It's how serious are we about focusing that there was a blip there, but we're going to get back on track. That's where it matters. That's the key. And this is where our foundations will be really strong if we've put good foundational methods back into our lives. You know, sometimes growth will look like these sort of things, really practical things now. Being disciplined about what time you go to bed. I've been trying to get better night's sleep. I was running on maybe 5-6 hours a night, and I was struggling the next day to function really well. I need, you know, 8 or 9 hours a night, and it's been a discipline for me to get to bed at like 9 o'clock. I mean, I don't want to really. It feels quite early to go to bed when I've been used to going to bed at 11 and midnight some nights, but I feel healthier and better just for putting another couple of hours sleep. Sleep's so important for us, and you know, being disciplined about doing that. Maybe not watching the program on TV, maybe watching it later, maybe another day, and just you know, turning to bed early and looking after yourself. Getting up when you said you would. You know, I have a job that requires me to get up early in the morning, so I've built that routine into my life now. But there's times when, you know, we could easily just not keep to these disciplines. Maybe not scrolling when we feel restless, or making the hard call, you know, to somebody. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's important. Maybe that's, you know, something we should be doing and not putting off. Making a call to somebody we need to speak to. Maybe sometimes, you know, walking away from situations where we would not, and having the strength to do that, and escaping situations that we need to escape from when we're put in a place where we shouldn't be. No applause, no drama, just steady wins the day all the time. Recovery is not built on intensity, but it is built on repetition. That's so important. You don't need to feel powerful today. You just need to keep your word today. Be honest. Keep that honest word. Be faithful with that. Keep your word. Because every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel like that, you strengthen something on the inside of you. You're building character on the inside of you, I'll tell you that. And over time, that strength becomes your identity as a person. Somebody strong, somebody reliable, somebody with integrity. Things we've maybe really lost in our addiction, or maybe we've never had. So it's becoming a new person and a new man. You start living as somebody who stops saying, I'm trying to change and I'm trying to do these things now, to somebody who's saying, I have changed. That is me. That is the new me. I have done this. I have broken this addiction finally out of my life. It's taken everything out of me to do it and more, but I'm finally in a free place, a really healthy mindset I have now that I've never had through our accountability and these good structures we're putting into our lives. So if motivation has dipped this week, don't panic, don't stress too much, and don't overanalyze that. Don't overanalyze it and get really down about that. Don't create a crisis where perhaps there isn't one. But just return back to the basics of life: sleep, structure, routine, boundaries, honesty. These are the crucial, important basics that underpin and our foundation for our recovery. Our recovery doesn't need to feel dramatic to be real. It just needs to continue by repetition. And if nobody's told you this lately, consistency is powerful, but quiet strength is also powerful. You are not weak today because you are tired. You are human. We have flaws. We have mistakes. We're not robots. But we don't quit. We don't quit when the going gets tough. We don't chuck in the towel anymore, and we don't quit. We stay the course and we stay true to this process of recovery. If this talk has resonated with you today, feel free to share it. I hope it's helped in some aspect. And just remember, recovery doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick fix. This is intentional, small steps moving forward, building these important basic and foundational principles back into our lives that maybe have never been there, or maybe they were there once upon a time and we lost our way, and we're now on this road to recovery. Hope that's helped today. Take care. See you next time.